Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight from the heart. Personal growth is not a trend, it's a lifestyle. It doesn't matter if we're talking about 100 years ago, right now, or 100 years from now. There are certain principles that will never go out of style. These principles are timeless. And the people who embrace them, live by them, and practice them daily are the ones who find themselves living with purpose, fulfillment, and success. Discipline is the one principle that separates those who dream from those who actually live their dreams. It is not a skill you are born with. It is a choice you make day after day, moment after moment. You can have all the talent in the world, all the intelligence, all the resources, but if you do not have discipline, everything you have will go to waste. Discipline is the foundation of success because it teaches you control, structure, and persevere. It forces you to say no to the things that bring temporary satisfaction so you can say yes to the things that bring lasting rewards. Discipline is what makes you wake up when the alarm goes off instead of hitting snooze. It is what makes you stay at your desk when distractions are calling, and it is what makes you push your body when your mind tells you to quit. Without discipline, life becomes a cycle of excuses, and excuses never build anything worthwhile. When you look at any person who has achieved something extraordinary, you will find that discipline was at the center of their journey. Athletes train for hours every day, even when they do not feel like it. Writers discipline themselves to sit in front of a blank page until the words come. Entrepreneurs discipline their spending, their routines, and their focus to create something that lasts. Nothing worth having in life comes without effort, and effort requires discipline. It's the bridge that carries you from where you are to where you want to be. It is the silent force that works in the background, shaping habits, building resilience, and creating consistency. People often look at successful individuals and think they were lucky, but luck might open a door, while discipline is what keeps that door open and allows you to walk through it. Discipline also teaches self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your own belief in your ability to achieve. When you tell yourself you will wake up early and you actually do it, you build trust with yourself. When you say you will commit to a goal and you follow through, you create a track record that proves you are capable of more. Lack of discipline destroys that self-trust. It tells your mind that you cannot rely on your own word. And once that trust is broken, doubt and hesitation step in. Discipline is not about punishing yourself. It is about honoring yourself. It is about setting standards for your life and refusing to lower them for the sake of comfort. One of the biggest misconceptions about discipline is that it takes away freedom, but the truth is the opposite. Discipline gives you freedom. Think about it. When you discipline your finances, you free yourself from debt and stress. When you discipline your health, you free yourself from sickness and fatigue. When you discipline your time, you free yourself from wasted hours and unfulfilled potential. Discipline might feel restrictive at first, but in the long run, it creates more space, more peace, and more opportunities. The undisciplined life feels easy in the moment, but it creates hardship later. While the disciplined life feels tough in the moment, but brings ease later. Discipline is not something that happens overnight. It is built through repetition, through daily choices, through falling down and standing up again. You will not always get it right, and that is okay. The key is to keep showing up. Discipline is not about perfection. It is about persistence. It is about pushing past the excuses, ignoring the distractions, and keeping your eyes on the bigger picture. Every small act of discipline adds up, and over time, those small acts create massive transformation. Discipline is the seed, and when you water it with consistency, it grows into success that lasts a lifetime. Consistency is the heartbeat of personal growth and achievement because it is the small, repeated actions over time that create lasting change. Anyone can start something with excitement and energy, but the real test is whether you can keep showing up when the excitement wears off. Consistency is what takes you from wishing to becoming, from talking to doing, from dreaming to living. It is not glamorous. It is not always exciting, but it is powerful beyond measure. When you practice consistency, you prove to yourself and to the world that you are serious about your goals. You stop depending on motivation, which comes and goes, and you build habits that carry you forward even when you don't feel like moving. Success does not come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do regularly. Consistency builds momentum, and momentum creates breakthroughs. Think of a person who goes to the gym. If they work out once or twice, nothing changes. If they push themselves hard for 1 week and then stop for 2, the results fade quickly. But if that person shows up consistently, even with small workouts, the transformation becomes undeniable. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you want to grow your finances, your career, your relationships, or your character, you must invest in them consistently. The little deposits you make each day eventually add up to a wealth of results. You do not notice growth in the moment, but consistency compounds it until one day the results are too big to ignore. That is why the most successful people are not necessarily the most talented or the most intelligent, but they're often the ones who simply refuse to quit showing up. Consistency also strengthens your identity. Each time you follow through on a commitment, you reinforce the belief that you are capable, reliable, and disciplined. Over time, this builds confidence, not the kind of confidence that is loud and boastful, but the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you can depend on yourself. When you are consistent, you begin to shape not only your actions, but also your character. You start to see yourself as someone who does what they say, who finishes what they start, and who stays the course even when life throws distractions and challenges in the way. That inner confidence becomes a foundation that no one can take away from you, because it is built on evidence from your own behavior. But one of the greatest challenges with consistency is that the results are often delayed. We live in a world that craves instant gratification, where people want to see results the moment they put in effort. But consistency requires patience. It asks you to trust the process, even when you cannot see immediate progress. It teaches you to value the journey as much as the destination. The seed you plant today will not bear fruit tomorrow, but if you water it daily and give it sunlight, it will eventually grow into something strong and fruitful. Many people give up right before their breakthrough because they mistake silence for failure, when in reality, consistency is working behind the scenes, shaping the outcome that is yet to come. Consistency is also contagious. When people see you show up again and again, they begin to trust you, depend on you, and even be inspired by you. Employers respect consistent workers more than those who are brilliant but unreliable. Friends and family value consistency in relationships because it shows commitment and loyalty. And within yourself, consistency creates peace because it removes the chaos of starting and stopping, trying and quitting. It gives you a rhythm that aligns with your goals and creates stability in your life. You may not control every outcome, but you can control how consistently you show up. And that choice alone has the power to change your entire future. Faith is the anchor that keeps you steady when life tries to knock you down. And it is the fuel that pushes you forward when everything around you says to quit. Without faith, every setback feels final, every obstacle feels permanent, and every challenge feels impossible to overcome. Faith is not just believing in something you can see. It is believing in what you cannot see yet. It is holding on to the vision of a better future even when the present does not show any signs of it. Faith is the voice that whispers inside you saying, keep going, your story isn't finished yet. It gives you the strength to walk through storms, to endure pain, and to trust that there is a purpose behind every difficulty. When you live with faith, you stop measuring your life only by what is happening right now, and you begin to see your life through the lens of possibility. Faith teaches you resilience because it tells you that your current circumstances are not the final chapter. Many people stop at the first sign of struggle because they cannot see beyond the pain. But faith allows you to see past the immediate and into the potential. It says that even though things look tough today, tomorrow can bring change. Without faith, you will always quit too soon because life will inevitably test you. It will knock you down. It will throw challenges in your path, and it will make you question your worth. Faith doesn't remove those tests, but it gives you the courage to endure them. It assures you that no setback is wasted and that every failure can be a stepping stone if you keep moving forward. Faith is also about believing in yourself when no one else does. The world is full of doubters, critics, and voices that will tell you what you cannot do. If you allow those voices to define you, you will shrink into a life of limitation. But faith within yourself allows you to rise above the noise. It allows you to say, I may not be there yet, but I know I can get there. Believing in yourself does not mean you will not face fear or uncertainty, but it means you trust your ability to grow, to adapt, and to overcome. When you have faith in yourself, you stop waiting for permission from others to pursue your dreams. You step out boldly, even when others do not understand your vision. Another layer of faith is believing in something greater than yourself. Whether it's faith in God, in destiny, or in a higher purpose, having that belief keeps you grounded and gives meaning to your struggles. Life can feel empty when you think it is only about you, but when you believe there's a greater plan at work, even your difficulties carry a sense of direction. That kind of faith provides peace during chaos and light during darkness. It helps you to keep going when logic says you should give up. It reassures you that every season, even the hard ones, has a purpose that will reveal itself in time. Faith also transforms the way you act. When you believe something is possible, you start taking steps toward it. Your faith influences your behavior, and your behavior shapes your results. If you doubt yourself, you will hesitate, and hesitation will rob you of opportunities. But when you have faith, you act boldly, you seize moments, and you create possibilities. Faith is not passive, it is active. It is not about sitting back and waiting. It is about moving forward with the belief that your efforts will bear fruit. Faith makes you put in the work today because you trust in the harvest that will come tomorrow. Faith is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite fear. Fear tells you to stay still, but faith tells you to step out. Fear says the mountain is too high, but faith says climb anyway. Fear whispers that you are not enough, but faith reminds you that you are capable, worthy, and equipped. When you live with faith, you stop letting fear make your decisions and you start letting hope guide your step. That shift changes everything because the moment you choose faith over fear, you open the door to opportunities that fear would have kept locked. Humility is one of the greatest strengths a person can carry because it keeps you open to growth, open to learning, and open to becoming better than you were yesterday. When pride takes over, it blinds you to your own flaws and shuts the door on wisdom. A prideful person believes they already know everything. But humility understands that no matter how much you have achieved, There is always more to learn. Humility allows you to sit at the feet of others and gain knowledge that could change your perspective. It teaches you that true growth does not come from pretending to be perfect, but from admitting that you are a work in progress. When you live with humility, you begin to value progress over ego, and that is where real transformation happens. Humility does not mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking of yourself in the right way. It is not weakness, it is strength under control. The humble person knows their worth, but does not have to boast about it. They let their actions speak louder than their words. In a world full of noise and self-promotion, humility stands out because it carries quiet confidence rather than arrogance. People are naturally drawn to those who are humble because humility makes you approachable and relatable. It allows you to connect with others on a deeper level. Since you are not putting yourself above them, you begin to see people not as competition, but as partners in growth. And that mindset creates stronger relationships and better opportunities for success. One of the most powerful aspects of humility is that it keeps you teachable. The moment you think you know it all, you stop learning. And when you stop learning, you stop growing. Humility says, I may not know everything, but I am willing to learn. That attitude opens doors that pride keeps shut. It allows you to take feedback, to accept correction, and to admit when you are wrong. Most people resist correction because they see it as an attack on their character, but humility sees it as a chance to improve. Being willing to admit mistakes does not make you less capable, it makes you wiser. The strongest leaders, the most successful individuals, and the people who inspire others are often the ones who know how to listen, how to take advice, and how to grow from the wisdom of others. Humility also brings peace into your life because it frees you from the constant pressure to prove yourself. When you live with pride, you are always trying to show off, always trying to be right, always trying to stay on top. That way of living is exhausting. Humility allows you to step back and rest in the truth that you do not have to be better than everyone else to be valuable. You do not have to win every argument or dominate every space to have significance. Humility lets you focus on what truly matters instead of chasing approval or validation. That shift brings a sense of contentment because you no longer tie your worth to comparison, you tie it to character. Another gift of humility is that it positions you for greater opportunities. People trust and respect those who are humble because they know they can work with them. No one enjoys dealing with arrogance, but everyone appreciates a person who is grounded. Humility makes you a better teammate, a better leader, and a better friend. It gives you influence not through force, but through respect. Opportunities often come to those who are humble because others recognize their willingness to listen, to adapt, and to grow. Humility has the power to take you further than pride ever could because it builds bridges instead of burning them. Humility is also a daily practice, not a one-time decision. Every day you will face moments that test your humility, whether it is in how you handle success, how you respond to criticism, or how you treat people who cannot offer you anything in return. Humility is revealed not in what you say about yourself, but in how you act when no one is watching. It is in the way you treat people who cannot advance your career, in the way you admit mistakes even when it costs you, and in the way you celebrate others without jealousy. Choosing humility each day keeps your heart soft, your mind open, and your spirit ready for growth. Gratitude is one of the most transformative principles for personal growth because it changes the way you see everything around you. When you live with gratitude, you begin to notice blessings in places you used to overlook. Instead of focusing on what you do not have, you start appreciating what you already hold. Gratitude shifts your perspective from lack to abundance, and that shift affects every area of your life. A grateful heart sees possibilities where others see problems, opportunities where others see obstacles, and joy where others only see stress. Gratitude does not mean that life is perfect or the challenges disappear, but it means you choose to recognize the good even in the midst of the struggle. That mindset not only brings peace, but also builds resilience because you are no longer driven by complaints, you are fueled by appreciation. When you practice gratitude, you also change the energy you put into the world. People who live with gratitude naturally attract more positivity because others enjoy being around someone who uplifts instead of drains. Gratitude makes you more compassionate, more patient, and more understanding. It softens your heart and helps you value people for who they are rather than what they can give you. In relationships, gratitude builds trust and deepens bonds because it communicates to others that you do not take them for granted. The more you express gratitude to the people in your life, the more they feel valued and the more they want to contribute positively to your journey. Gratitude has a ripple effect that starts with your perspective but extends outward to everyone around you. One of the overlooked truths about gratitude is that it is a choice, not just a feeling. Many people wait to feel grateful until life looks the way they want, but true gratitude is practiced even when circumstances are not ideal. It is choosing to be thankful for small steps while still reaching for bigger goals. Gratitude does not ask you to ignore your ambitions. It simply reminds you to appreciate the journey while you are chasing the destination. That choice changes the way you experience life because you are no longer stuck in frustration about what is missing. Instead, you find joy in the present while working for the future. Gratitude turns waiting into patience and struggle into strength because it reframes your experiences through the lens of growth. Gratitude also improves your mental and emotional health. A grateful mind is less consumed by stress, jealousy, or bitterness. When you focus on what is good, you give less energy to what is negative. Scientific studies even show that gratitude reduces anxiety, improves sleep, and boosts overall well-being. But beyond science, gratitude nourishes the soul. It gives you peace in the middle of chaos and hope in the middle of hardship. Gratitude does not remove challenges, but it makes you stronger to face them because your spirit is not weighed down by constant dissatisfaction. A grateful person knows how to see beauty even in difficulty, and that perspective turns pain into purpose. Another powerful aspect of gratitude is that it prepares you for more. When you appreciate what you already have, you create the mindset to handle greater blessings. If you cannot be thankful for the small things, you will not fully appreciate the big ones when they arrive. Gratitude teaches stewardship. It trains you to value and take care of what is in your hands, which in turn prepares you for greater responsibility. Life tends to reward those who are grateful because they are ready to handle increase without arrogance. Gratitude is like a magnet that attracts growth, opportunities, and abundance. The more thankful you are, the more life seems to give you reasons to stay thankful. Man. Gratitude is a practice that must be intentional. It requires slowing down to notice the details you would normally overlook. The smile of a loved one, the roof over your head, the lessons learned from mistakes, the progress you have made, even if it is not yet the finish line. When you live this way, gratitude becomes not just an act, but a lifestyle. It becomes the lens through which you see your journey, and that lens transforms not only how you view your life, but also how you live it each day. Courage is the principle that unlocks every other part of growth, because without it, you will always stay trapped in the comfort of the familiar. Courage is not about the absence of fear. It is about moving forward even while fear is present. Every person who has achieved something meaningful has felt fear, doubt, and uncertainty. But the difference is they chose to act anyway. Courage asks you to take the first step when the outcome is unclear, to raise your voice when it feels easy to stay silent, and to keep going when everything in you says to turn back. It is the spark that ignites transformation, because nothing in life changes until you are willing to step outside of what feels safe. Fear will always try to convince you to play small, but courage dares you to dream big and pursue those dreams, no matter how intimidating the journey may look. Courage is necessary because life will never hand you growth without challenge. Every dream worth chasing will demand that you face obstacles, and those obstacles will test your determination. Without courage, you retreat when things get uncomfortable, but with courage, you lean into the discomfort and use it as fuel. Courage is what makes an entrepreneur risk failure to build something new, what makes an athlete push past pain to reach their goal, and what makes an ordinary person stand strong when life hits hard. Courage does not guarantee that everything will be easy, but it guarantees that you will not stay stuck in fear. The moment you choose courage, you break free from limitations because you stop letting fear make your decisions for you. One of the most important truths about courage is that it grows the more you use it. At first, stepping into courage feels overwhelming, but every small act of bravery builds strength for bigger battles. It might begin with speaking up in a meeting, trying a new skill, or admitting a mistake. But those small acts add up and soon give you the confidence to take on greater challenges. Courage is like a muscle. It strengthens with use. People often wait for courage to arrive fully formed before they take action. But the reality is that courage develops as you act. You cannot wait for the fear to disappear. You have to move in spite of it. And that movement itself becomes the practice that expands your courage. Courage also transforms the way you see failure. Most people are so afraid of failing that they never try. But courage teaches you that failure is not final. Failure is simply feedback, a chance to learn and adjust. When you live with courage, you stop seeing failure as something to fear and start seeing it as part of the process. This perspective frees you to take risks, to explore possibilities, and to pursue goals without being paralyzed by the thought of getting it wrong. Every successful person has failed countless times, but they had the courage to rise again, and that resilience became the foundation of their growth. Courage does not eliminate failure, but it ensures that failure never has the power to define you. Courage is also about authenticity. It takes courage to be yourself in a world that constantly pressures you to fit in. It takes courage to stand by your values when others compromise theirs. It takes courage to pursue your passion when people tell you it is unrealistic. Authentic living is impossible without courage, because being true to yourself often means standing out, facing criticism, or walking a path alone. But the reward of courage is freedom. The freedom to live a life that feels true to who you are, instead of one shaped by fear of judgment. When you embrace courage, you no longer need to hide behind masks or play roles that do not belong to you. You give yourself permission to live honestly, and that honesty leads to deeper fulfillment. Courage is contagious. When you act with bravery, you inspire others to do the same. One person's decision to stand up, to try, to move forward can spark confidence in those around them. Families, communities, and even entire movements have been transformed by the courage of a single person. Courage creates a ripple effect that goes beyond you and impacts lives you may never even know. This is why courage is not just a personal principle, but a powerful gift you give to others. Your courage might be the very thing that gives someone else the strength to take their own step forward.